European Ultimate Championships 2023 in a rather drizzly Limerick conditions here in quarter-finals. Myself, Hannah Pendlebury, alongside Lou Burgess on the call for this matchup between Great Britain and France women. And certainly the Brits, the last time we had them on our live stream, Lou, took a defeat against the Germans with a very curious end indeed. So can they start out strong coming into this game? Lucy Hyde, the number 7, with the disc in hand, finds Kwok. Of course, a very experienced athlete, gold medalist back in 2019 with the mixed side. Hunter now on the far sideline. Inside shot that's going to be scooped up. No, it's not quite. Hayley Dahlman overthrown on the far sideline, and a half-field opportunity for the French.
Well, fantastic start for France. They couldn't have asked for much more than an early turnover.
Well, getting us underway. Centre field option. Huygolier has Becky underneath, doesn't like it. Turns around. Love the single hand catch. Bertrand popping back. Rollet seeking options, but a pick downfield.
Tense start to this game.
Absolutely, Lou. Well, as we said, the last time we were on a live stream with Great Britain, it was a defeat. Certainly, there's a question as to whether or not they were showing us everything they had to offer. They've developed over the course of this tournament. The last two teams, time these two teams saw each other, though, as we see a first break go to the French, was, of course, at London Invite a few weeks ago. And what happened in that game, Lou?
Well, it was GB versus Yaka, the women's side from Noisy-le-Sec.
Yes.
So not quite the French national team. And it's a very small Yaka squad to boot. Only 14 players, maybe even 13 by that point in the weekend. And GB did not look good against them. They obviously lost that game in the end. So GB have a history of not performing against French sides. But this is a different team. This is a full-strength GB team and also a full-strength France team. So despite yesterday's, let's say, challenging results for the French side, they've made it to quarterfinals, which is the important thing. They almost didn't. They had a universe point win even against Sweden in the Powerball stage. Starting universe point on defense, they had to break to win it, and they did. If they lost that game, they would not be here in quarters. But that was the first game of their Powerpool stage. They then also went on to lose to Italy and Belgium. That's how they got here. And we'll tell you how GB got here after this point.
Well, thus far in this quarterfinals, we have these two teams facing off: Italy, Switzerland on the other live stream, Czech Republic and Belgium, and Germany, Netherlands. Thompson with a drop on the near sideline. You can see the awkwardness of that clap catch. Just couldn't quite recover. Valentin. French D-line looking for a second break. Pick call by Ulrich. The disc will go back by the looks of it. Brilliant matchup between the two number 11s, Ulrich and Lila Petitbon. But another pick call immediately. Maillot Valentin, of course, the 24-year-old from Le Mans, currently residing in Strasbourg, has got a phenomenal arm. That one is going to be required a second effort. A little bit of luck in favour of the French in the opening stages of this quarter-final match. Valentin, well, there's the cannon. Ulrich with eyes on the prize, though, and gets the catch block in the end zone.
Oh, yeah. Ulrich was there the whole time.
Well, of course, playing mixed in the club scene, representing GB women out here. Came through, I believe, the under-24s division. As you see, Rachel Naden launching one to Laura Van Krieken. Well, there's a connection we saw many times. Van Krieken had a wonderful time against Germany early on in the week. Been cleaning up on the stats board, and that's the first hold for GB women in this game.
Well, they made it a little bit difficult for themselves at the start, but great defense to get the disc back, and a nice shot into the end zone to finish it off.
So Van Krieken overall in the tournament, 9 total stats, 3 assists and 6 goals. Of course, the 2 captains for Great Britain leading the charge as Naden picks up another assist.
Yeah, 10 assists, 13 goals coming into this game. Comfortably at the top of the stats board, but Hannah Brew is ahead of her, or was ahead of her in assists with 11 until that one went in.
Well, Naden, of course, stepping up in her career to captain alongside Brew on this women's squad. It's not really her normal kind of, natural state of being, but she's saying she really is enjoying helping develop the players on her squad from both a mental and playing perspective. Iron sharpening iron, as they say. So, first look at the O-line for the French. Inside one, picked off by Valet. Le Bon into Chartrain. Colleen Chartrain, still count starting to rise. Babikian's going to race underneath it. No bid from either of the players behind, and here we go. Both O-lines showing an opportunity to their defensive counterparts in the first points of this game. Gibson saying she wants something in the deep space, has her sister underneath it, but also 2 defensive players, and Amon Babikian with the rundown.
Babikian was ahead the whole time. Could see Kate Gibson calling for her sister Heather Gibson to run deep as the stall count was rising. But the French were wise to it. Another opportunity for their O-line to get the hold.
Mondiaux striding up with the disc in hand. Initiation for Chloe Valet underneath. A little bit of hesitation from the rest of the pack, but streaking underneath. That one's going to require a redemption from the backspace from Chartrain as they try to connect with Raimondo. Mondiaux up line, but that's great defense from Van Sale, but Layla Denniston with the layout block for Great Britain. Thinks about that big lefty bomb that we know Denniston has. Returner, of course, from the 2019 squad, but that one's going to escape the laying form of Ruth Caudron. Fantastic conditions under chest for these layouts, Lou.
Yeah, ground a little bit slippy after the rain fall down, so you'll see some players sliding around for sure.
Le Bon, Nanu, of course, finds the under to Chartrain. Bit of point and shoot, and again Layla Denniston. Is it going to be a foul call? Did look a little bit like Denniston went underneath.
Let's take another look. It's a tricky one.
It does look a little bit like Denniston initiates that play from slightly behind Valet. Certainly a fantastic block, but of course you're not permitted to make contact with the player at any point, even in kind of trying to get to the disc.
I can see why the foul was called. I can also see Denniston's point about Valet changing direction into the catch.
Well, well, we're about to have a retracted foul call, but both players will come and have a quick look at our replay screen. Hello, Layla. Of course, team chef for GB. This GB women's squad powered by Bolognese. To get another look at that layout D. And some excellent French being spoken by Layla Denniston. But yeah, she's been feeding this GB team with blocks, but also feeding them with Bolognese. Says the secret to that sauce is to mince your onions. But no mincing on the pitch for Layla Denniston. That's the second block in just 1 point for Great Britain. Wedge now. Van Sale. You can see the Spice initiation. Gibson on the far sideline now. The two sisters. Pick call in the centre of the stack. But of course, Heather Gibson, the number 12, the strength and conditioning brain that she is. I like how when Van Sale caught the Dislu, she threw her hands up in the air in the deep space like, hello, I'm over here. Just in case you're wondering, of course, those two teammates from the club side, Spice. The other Gibson sister now, the 51, Kate Gibson. Oh, but that one's going to be plucked out of the sky. The battle won by Aurore Langlois. So the French women hold on to this offensive point. The Bourne going up line. That's a lovely gainer on the far side. Mondiaux being given acres of room underneath from Gibson. Another big backhand break, low, rising high. Mondiaux with the trust throw, but there's the block for Gibson. Great attack. Just didn't quite have enough shape on it. The two sisters connecting. Wedge now underneath. Oh, and that's a lovely continuation flow for the two former teammates. Bristol women after some Spice action for your delectation. And that is a break in response for Great Britain.
Wow, impressive stuff from GB. Really grinding out that defense, getting multiple blocks. Their offense could have been a little bit cleaner, but they get the job done eventually. This throw from Kate Gibson to Heather Gibson, too much air under it. But Kate gets it back. And then fantastic connection down this near sideline for the score. Great throw from Wedge. And Nat Oldfield with the score. Going to ground to secure the catch.
Yes, the marine wildlife analyst identifies birds for a living.
That's impressive. I tried to do that recently when I was on safari in South Africa. It's very difficult.
Certainly is indeed. She's been playing for almost 4 years, so a product of the just pre-pandemic is Nat Oldfield. Of course, had that breakout season with Bristol women. And Wedge, of course, is her former teammate. Now, of course, in the mixed division for her club scene. So quite frequently we see that, Lou, actually. Players, especially hailing from the UK, we don't have to choose just one division to play. They'll play seniors, GB in one division and often club in the other. But a zone coming out for Great Britain on their second attack against the French O-line. Big noise from the sideline. I think Karen Koch might lose her voice by the end of this point. Langlois has a think about it. Just French women being forced into taking plenty of negative yards. There is not very much wind right now. It's going to have to be a high still arcing flight over the top and ripped out by Kate Gibson. Leong on the far side finds Wedge. Gibson streaking off into the deep space. Wedge doesn't like the look, chooses more conservative action for Sarah Jeffrey. Around to Wedge. Hills now. All quiet in the GB stack. No one really gunning under. And Hills all alone.
I saw the hand signal for a foul. Maybe a bit of pushing and shoving in the stack. There are a few GB players quite close together over there. But accepted foul, it looks like. Yep. So stall will be reset.
Well, Molly Wedge pointing at her own chest, clearly saying, I'm the active option in this next moment of possession. She is indeed going to grind her way underneath. There's a little flash off the front of the stack, which pushes her into further negative territory. Jeffrey Big loose mark from Mondiaux. Immediately for the give go, Scuba to Lyon. The French certainly wanting to make GB really try and execute the around options here, but that's a straight burn to the open side. Molly Wedge with the layout goal in the back corner and gets up from the ground like it ain't no thing, Lou.
The crowd got very excited for that one, and we did it in the booth because we're very used to seeing Molly Wedge just make plays like that. Gonna need to see something more impressive to get us excited. But no, fantastic catch from Wedge in the back corner of the end zone. The crowd are right to go wild.
Well, the first break of this game going in favour of the French, but what a mighty response from Great Britain. 3 on the bounce, and the French will take a timeout. We've got plenty of support on the mound behind this show pitch. Of course, we moved across to field 15 for the later stages of this championship to keep the field's nice and green and firm underfoot. But again, massive shout out to Maureen Buffy, watching from home. We're supposed to be here in person, one of the grandparents of the Gibson sisters. So unfortunately not very well, so she's not been able to travel across, but big shout out to her. Hope she is feeling much better and enjoying this live coverage. Of course, it's always nice to be in here in person, and Wedge will collect another stat for this tournament. It's like Wedge and Naden are just battling at the top to see who can get more stats, Lou.
Certainly looks that way. Naden's still a little bit ahead, but that might switch by the end of this game. Wedge looks on form. Had a fantastic tournament so far.
And to look over to the French side of the stats, of course, no surprise, the current stats leader for them.
No, Mondiaux at the top, 23 assists, 3 goals.
But Chartrain just behind, 21 her total, 11 assists and 10 goals. So we've seen some teams play assassin-type zones against the French to nullify the impact of players like Mondiaux. But they have a plan B. They've faced zones before, but Kate Gibson, tell you what, when she really wants to show us what she's made of, she's very capable of doing it. 2 blocks already in this game. Same, I think Layla Denniston got the 2, although we've reneged her on our stats board for now. Of course, we're getting block stats here in the booth as well as your normal goals and assists. Beckett in the central position, just gaining those little bit of yards. Rigolier, the monkey player from Grenoble. More experienced athletes coming out on offense, and some pullovers already from their D-line. Rigolier with the lefty blade into Bertrand. Petitbon in acres of room as they see to try and transition into match. Denniston dancing around, trying to confuse the space, but eventually escaping, and there is the rocket into the end zone. Oldfield, though, with the catch block, snaffles up that rather loose option, but it's going to be a potential foul on the mark. So again, wonderful spirit there from Layla Denniston. So, called a violation. You can see it being signalled there just on our replay, Lou. But didn't impact any of the play downfield, so the turnover for Great Britain women will stand. But that was going to escape Van Sale. Sails above her head rather than into her hands. Rigolier now with that taped up right knee. Rollet looking for options, hunting, and then it's going to be just about scooped up. The GB players signalling that that was good enough for the goal. Juliette Bertrand holds on to that one for dear life, Lou.
Yeah, good spirit from GB there to accept the goal. France called the goal immediately and GB accept it. It was very low, but I think I have to agree that it was up. And here's where I get embarrassed by the replay showing that it was down, but I don't think it was. That's my prediction. Let's see. Yeah, close but up still. Well, either way, the players decided it's a goal, and that's what matters.
Indeed, what we see here in the booth means absolutely naught. Of course, we get the view that only the birds do. And actually, one of the things when we were talking to some of the GB players ahead of this game, Lou, actually Lena Denison was the one that mentioned it. One of the things she really appreciated about some of the coaching set for Great British Women was that in the early stages of their training camps, rather than sort of like muscle and say what they thought happened on the pitch, they actually took the time to really allow the players to express what they thought had happened in a particular training scenario. Because of course, how things look and how things are for the players can be very, very different indeed. So Brew over to Yorworth, into Hunter. Just playing a game of catch out here. Real smooth offensive flow from GB's O. Hyde into Hunter. Through to Yorworth, just finding these little spearing passes through the front wall of the French zone. That's a nice find. Over to Hyde now. This is lovely spacing from GB Women. To see a transition now, person coverage. Kwok on the far side. Has an initiation from Coleman, but it's going to be a little bit too far for Rachel Naden. No explosiveness from that 35 shirt, which is a shock.
I'm sure she'll be gutted not to get another stat on the board, Hanny.
I think Rachel Naden plays for much more than just stats, Lou. As much as we're giving a little bit of amusement between the idea of her and Hannah Brew, the two captains fighting it out, they're just looking to secure as much as they can. So this to put us back on serve. Rigolier. Big flying poach off from Hunter. Wastes the potential for a couple of seconds of the stall count. Becker cannot find the poach off. Bocanegra hanging out on that far sideline. Not really exploiting this poach super well. Collet now. That one's going to race well over, and Rachel Naden is there to collect the miscue. Being conservative now, it's Coleman with so much room. Both teams clearly trying to poach off and confuse the spaces. A turn on a dime from Rachel Naden. Now Hyde to Kwok. Not too much action again coming out of this GB stack. They are relying on the handler set to go to work. Now it's Brew. Cheeky scuba. Doesn't try and reach around the pocket of the mark. Takes the scuba, throws the dish. There's a little bit of hesitation from Lucy Hyde, but she manages the catch up and clutches the goal. Just what the doctor ordered, Lou.
Fantastic point there from GB. Have to say they looked a little bit disorganized on defense. There was lots of communication, lots of pointing, lots of shouting. They were switching all over the place, but there was always somebody free for France. Poached off, but they tended to be in the middle of the field, kind of where the stack would be if they were playing a tight discipline stack, but the French were very spread out, which potentially caused that disorganized GB defense, but they didn't ever punish the poach, and so the disc just gets thrown essentially straight to Naden, and then fantastic offense on the other side of it, converting the score. Loved that scuba from Brute. It's a fine Naden in this position. And then really good footwork from Hyde. Good throw from Naden as well.
We do have another shout out from one of the parents that isn't on the supporters hill behind for Team GB. Shout out to Jane Tinworth, says, go Hannah Thompson, love from mum, go Team GB. We'll talk though in the next point, Lou, about how you can exploit a poach. As we see GB with some intense person coverage. Trying to get another block in this game. It's a high stall situation and a high bailout throw. And that one sails way too far. So GB to take a really commanding lead here. If they can punch another one in, They started this game on offense, got broken out the blocks, but what a way to respond. The chase down the far side from Ellie Payne. There is a pick call earlier on in the play, but that way may well be retracted because Amon Babiquin, like always, coming up with the goods when they need it.
Absolutely ridiculous block. Got fully horizontal.
Well, the 20-year-old from Fontenay-sous-Bois doing what she does. We've been desensitized to the likes of Molly Wedge, but we so have as well for Amand Babiquin. Such an amazing athlete. Langlois now going for a bit of point and shoot, does she? No. Thinks better of it. Holsters that big lefty blade across. Just going to chuck one into the open space, though, at the back of the end zone. Underneath it, Van Sale flies through the air.
Yeah, I feel like the shot to the back of the end zone was much better at the start when she was pointing for it. Instead, allowed the GB defense to catch up, and that shot was never going to be uncontested.
Seems like there's a bit of hesitance with the disc for the French women. They're not really committing to the one option and then finding themselves stuck at about 9 or 10. Well, not at 10, of course. We haven't had any stall outs. High over across to Wedge. Payne in acres of room. There's a smile on Wedge's face, but she doesn't like to take the deep, risky options. Who knows how meaningful this break could be. Jeffrey now started her playing days at the University of Sublime, but that looks like a hand block to me, Lou.
Well, even if it wasn't, I just don't think that release angle was ever going to get the disc high enough for it to be a completed pass.
Chartrand grinding the underneath, matched up with Caudron. Picked downfield. Well, if it was a hand block, then I'm sure the Yaka Hand Block Club can, as in I Got Hand Blocks Club, can find some members from other teams. A really good way to recover mentally is to make a little bit of fun out of when things go wrong on the pitch. But this is a real grind. Up line goes, but Payne's the one that committed to it.
Excellent handler defense from Payne. Mondio had nothing.
Well, another of the medics on this GB women's side. Known for her layout Ds, but it's Jeffrey with the lead for Gibson as a bobble but a clutch, and throws it to fellow Spice mate Van Sale for the layout score, and another break for Great Britain. That's 5-2 now. There's going to be a call though on that play. Huge though.
Looked to me in real time like Van Zyl made the play cleanly, but a travel's been called on the throw.
Way back when. Going all the way back downtown. What a shame that the footwork wasn't quite clean enough.
Okay, for a moment I thought the travel call was on Gibson, but it's not.
Nope. There wasn't any travelling for Gibson because it was that initial bobble that she recollected so well.
Well, the out-of-context highlight clip is still excellent, though.
Absolutely. It happened on the live stream, therefore it will stand. Oh. But it's going to be redemption. Ellie Payne putting that one on her back. And it's going to be Gibson for Wedge, but no layout score this time. It just pops up so quickly.
Now that one I would have got excited for.
Absolutely. That would have been a proper trailing edge, one-handed, you know, sort of, well, have fun hip joint. Oh no, she does actually. She did have it flat. It looked to me like it was more of a reach, Lou.
Well, excellent body control from Molly Wedge, as always.
Puts in the work, mate. Puts in the work. As do these French players. Fretigny on the underneath. And the run-through block from Molly Wedge. A moment of hesitation. And it's going to be devastation for the French women. There we go. That will be 5-2. A break so nice. They did it twice for GB women. And a slowdown for Samarco gives the disc away.
GB look unstoppable right now. They are on fire. Absolutely everything going their way. France are out of answers, it seems.
Well, GB have come into this game very, very ready and feisty. Certainly, we didn't see too much pitch time for Wedge in some of the earlier games. Of course, a real ace in the pack, able to create plays, sometimes with a decent amount of contact, Lou, but that one was clean as a whistle.
Still somehow second on the stat sheet for GB, though.
Well, it's because the volunteers aren't asked to count blocks, Lou. They can only do so much, but massive hats off to all of the volunteers keeping things running at this European event. But with a timeout on the field, we're going to take a break too, but do not go anywhere, folks. Quarter final action. Great Britain with a 3-break 5-2 lead over the French. First half women's quarter-finals for you, and currently Great Britain sitting pretty, 3 breaks to 1 over their French opponents. What a response, those 3 on the bounce to respond to that first break of score, Lou.
Yeah, not sure what happened to GB that first point. Since then, they have been unstoppable.
Well, it's been a real grinder. 7 turnovers required for 2 of Great Britain's 3 breaks. Oldfield getting us underway with a big pull. Will be fielded. Mondiaux into Langlois. That's sent it near break position. Easy enough. De Raimondo. Another pick downfield.
Seen quite a lot of picks this game from both sides.
Back in action, Raimondo. Layla Denniston trying to best Chloe Valet. What a matchup it is for those 2 athletes. Putting one out on a piece of string, but that's going to be way too far. Chloe Valet getting flustered, couldn't find the around option, and just tries to root one it.
I think that was supposed to be a lead pass from Mondiaux, but several GB defenders all had their heads up, and even if it had gotten close to Mondiaux, I think GB would have got their first sensational bid from Layla Denniston.
And again, such wonderful body control. Again, someone we didn't really see too much in that Germany game, I have to say, Lou.
Perhaps being rested for this one.
But a throw straight into the poaching Chartrain from Maddie Long. Isolation for Babican. Nobody really looking to poach off. There we go. Denniston thinking about it now, but Van Krieken, I think, didn't get the communication from Denniston that she had help on that other side, and just gets ripped open. And a post through the letterbox for the French.
Well, Babican demonstrating there why she is the joint goals leader coming into this game, along with Colleen Coltran. Fantastic cutting in the end zone. And a good throw to finish it off. Let's take another look. Van Krieken was tight until this cut.
And that is why you do those cone-to-cone skater squats, folks, to encourage your body, the inside and outside foot pushes. In fact, that replay, Lou, looked like almost like a perfect skater squat, didn't it?
Yeah, textbook form.
So a little bit of oxygen applied to the French side, of course, trailed 2 breaks in this game after that wonderful start with the clean break. And of course, that's a little bit of sporty jargon. A clean anything, whether it's a clean hold, would be an offensive line that come out, don't have any turnovers, just punching a goal. A clean break is you get that 1 turnover when you come out on defense and then go and get yourself a score. But some intense body language coming from the GB athletes. They talked about applying lots of pressure, especially around the disc, but trying to keep the pressure all game long. The French will look to do the same. Dahlmann in the centre of this horizontal stack offense. Kwok has some ideas on the underneath. Big old poach off, just about rescued that disc by Hannah Brew. Now opens up a big old backhand. That is going to go well out of contention though. Karen Kwok is rapid, but unfortunately she doesn't have a 5-meter wingspan.
Well, that disc had the wrong edge on it. Hannah Brew, normally such a precise thrower, but puts the wrong edge on it that time. As you see here, Kwok sees that Brew rescues the disc, immediately streaks deep, and Brew not able to connect.
Well, an opportunity here for the French to claw back some of the lead that GB have taken in this first half. We only want to have a good close game here in the booth. Rollet looking for options, a bit of a Bosch on the underneath cut. And so it's to be potentially a marking infraction there, Lou.
Looks like it.
Back in from 4. Oh, that's a nice find to Bocanegra Gomez. And good respect from Yorwith not to do anything to clutter it. She had the line. Oh, you can see that Maëlle Barentin thought about that big flick. But once again, we have a call downfield.
A slightly delayed pit call. Not sure why it was called in the end, because no throws went up. You can wait 2 seconds, but still.
Barentin sitting in that flick almost the whole time of the stall count. There's a turnaround and a save from Salomé Rollet. What a trust ball that was. Beautiful curvature on it though, and so much hang time. Barentin is a really elite thrower, as of course all of these athletes are, but that one is going to be picked off by Hannah Yorworth. An easy read for the youngster who, if memory serves, started playing back in the north. In fact, no, started throwing with her brother whilst he was at uni, University of Warwick. Back in the day, but GB really on the charge. A big wind up from Naden, and look at the closing speed of Hannah Yorworth. Takes it in stride with a clap catch and just a little moment of stoppage before she tumbles over Salomé Rollet, who had a real go at that one. But that throw didn't look open, I think, to anyone but Naden when it went up, Lou.
Yeah, bit of a trust shot maybe, or maybe just knowing that Hannah Yorworth is a fantastic receiver. As you say, the closing speed. Fantastic. Excellent rescue grab to save possession for France, but bookends for Yorworth because she had a head up and intercepted that pass.
Well, Yorworth not only an amazing athlete, but somebody who's really committed to sustainability, really is mindful about her transport to all of these events, because certainly for us commentators, Lou, we pick up lots of air miles as there was plenty of air underneath that disc. She actually cycled back from the Under-24 World Championships from Germany back in Heidelberg.
I thought you were gonna say from Nottingham then, but of course you're a bit too old for playing in that particular tournament, and also Nottingham would have been nowhere near as impressive as cycling back from Germany.
Indeed. So 6-3 the score to Great Britain. This time it's Yorwith picking up the task of trying to deny Chloé Vallée everything she wants. Colline Chatrin now has the initiation of the upline, goes for the around to Le Bon. The Aka connection is there, that one's low and pings out the hands, but can it be redeemed? No, it is not. Roland Cloix thinks about it. Was that meant for Chloé Chatrin? Colline even.
It's difficult to tell.
I
think it was, but it would have been an excellent mac on into the end zone if it was completed.
Well, that had so much punt on it, and that's going to be punted immediately out of the blocks.
Oh.
Just about caught. Goodness gracious me. Klima cleaning up in the deep space for Great Britain. A bit of a scramble. Kate Gibson, all alone, finds the mark of Vallée. Chooses to throw around it. That one is going to require a big defensive play, but again, the French attacking the disc a touch too early, and that one connects for Oldfield.
Well, everything going GB's way. See if we can get... Let's have another look at this one. I think it was the Cartran, but... Well, imagine if that play had come off. Play of the weekend. But here, Emma Klima had absolutely no right to get this disc, but was in the right place at the right time. Sometimes the disc will just fall to you, and it just seems to be that kind of game for GB. Everything going their way. France not able to connect. Not able to get the blocks on these slightly errant discs.
Well, GB are getting away with the pace of this game. They're really... they're forcing the marks when they, then they have the disc to be out of position because of the rapid flow that they have. The connections have clearly been well honed together. Of course, as we mentioned, there's a couple of teammates that are being pulled out on the field together. And that's going to be a big rolly pull from the paws of Wedge, just coming out of bounds in front of the cone on the near side.
Excellent pull from GB. Horrendous field position for France. It looks like they're going to go for a vertical stack setup. Stack setup quite far into the field. So plenty of opportunity for GB to poach this open side.
Well, it's been difficult to escape from this corner before. Big poach off from Maddie Leong in the near side, but swiftly moving away from Gibson is Rigolier. It's a zone look from Great Britain. Those two pincers at the front and then a cluster in the middle space, but that is what it's all about, just working it through the mid. A near piece for Sarah Hills on that layout a moment ago, but a melt now to match on the transition. GB finding their options, but there's a big poach off again on the far side that they fail to exploit. High stall situation. Becquet cruising in, but it's Lambolet on this near sideline instead. Becquet again poached off. Wedge trying to look very dangerous. It's gone into the sky. Going to be a bit of redemption from the back of the stack for Bertrand. Elise Becquet just grinding her way through past Molly Wedge. And there's one into the space, and what a beautiful continuation cut from behind. Juliette Bertrand, the hero for the Frenchwomen, and they cling to keeping this half alive. 7-4 now the score, but that was a lot of work.
Well, that is impressive stuff from the French. They had such a horrible position to work with off of the pull. GB were right down there, had their zone set up, but they managed to grind their way all the way up the pitch, finding the gaps. GB's transition to match defense was pretty clean. They didn't really leave any holes for the French to exploit.
I want to talk to you, Lou, right? From your perspective as an analyst, at the moment, especially against the French, GB match defense, they are sagging off and poaching in the lane. One player, usually on that far side of the field, is unmarked. What do you want that person to do, Lou, in those situations?
Well, you need to get the disc to them. So there's a few ways to do that. You can just bang it over the top with a big hammer, but perhaps that's not the safest of option for this French side. They've not been the cleanest on the high floaty discs. So the other option is for other players to clear out of the way and allow that player to come in and be an option to throw to more easily. Importantly though, that player should just try and get more free. When you have separation, get more separation.
Well, person coverage. Bocanegra Gomez taking on Van Krieken. She looks for the underneath. Thompson. Through to Brew. Brew and Becquet, what a matchup that is. Van Krieken fakes the big one. Punts it though up line to Naden. That's one into the space. It just gets tipped by the big gloved palms of Pauline Lambolet.
Not sure what Naden saw here. Kwok was not free.
At long last, the French get paid off for attacking the disc early, playing the disc, not the player. It's obviously a great defensive strategy to keep your bids clean, make sure any blocks you generate do stand, aren't called back on fouls. But a couple of times they've gone a little bit too hasty, gone aggressive, and missed the opportunity. So Rigolier has Becquet initiating up line. Bocanegra Gomez almost takes that one straight to that black mask. Petit Bon now takes the reset. Bertrand left in loads of room by Naden, but just jogging around, not really making herself overly available. Rigolier happy to work it. That one's going to come directly out of bounds, just over the top of our head of our cameraman Nick.
I feel like the pressure's getting to the French a little bit. This is rushed offense, to say the least. They're going to need a bit more composure if they want to come back in this game.
Oh, Brute bringing the disc back in with a visor. I'm liking seeing the visor having a bit of a comeback as an ultimate accessory. That sets up that pivot on the line, which of course she doesn't need to do, because on the line is out. But hey ho. Thompson back to Hyde, but it's going to be either pulled back or caught up. Pulled back on the pick call, there we go. It's something that players often miss. You don't actually have to set that pivot foot on the line when you're bringing your disc back into bounds. But the same pass happens immediately. Nice around slicer from Hyde. The fake signal, ooh, a little bit of contact there, but Kwok plays through it. The physicality of the French trying to deny and pile the pressure on Great Britain. That one, some fancy footwork just to bring it in bounds for Karen Kwok.
Well, what a way to take half. Confident offense there from GB, and great point for Karen Kwok, playing through the intense defense from the French and then getting the score in the end zone just to assert her authority on this point.
Well, if I remember rightly, this was the first turnover was generated by trying to kind of find Karen Kwok on the far sideline. So there was some switching that happened because it was Lambolet that originally took that matchup. But at the moment, there have been very few perfect moments for these teams. In fact, we haven't had, apart from the one clean hold for the French O-line, which took us to 4-7, kept the half alive, there hasn't been a single clean hold in this game. We've had breaks that have been capitalised upon on the first opportunity, the pounce, but this has been a real interesting one when the players have started with the disc, Lou.
Yeah, a little bit surprising. Both these teams are extremely strong with the disc, so yeah, surprised to see so many turnovers, but let's see what happens in the second half.
Well, let's have a look. We'll tell you what. We'll have a look at the stats of this game. Actually, we go controversial. We don't normally have the stats before we have the break for half, but yeah, the clean holds, none at all for Great Britain. 12 break chances though, so clearly a D-heavy team.
Yeah, GB's D-line is phenomenal, one of the strongest in the tournament, but the lack of clean holds is definitely something that the coaching staff are going to be thinking about, and the leadership of this team are going to be thinking out going into the second half.
Well, the theme of their offense for this match, they said, was joy, but that's not a very joyous look at the stats board. Let's hope they can maybe clean it up and give a more polished performance coming into the closing moments of this game. But don't go anywhere, folks. This will continue. Quarter-finals between France and Great Britain here in the women's division at the European Championships 2023.
Always on the move? You can keep up to date with ULTI.TV on all of our social media channels. Like, follow, subscribe, share us with a friend, or send us a message just to say hey. Thank you for supporting us in our mission to grow Ultimate everywhere.
Women's quarter-final action here on field 15, our home for the live stream for the rest of the championship bracket. And at the moment, Great Britain's defense helping them soar over the French women. And I tell you what, who's been a key pivotal part of that, Lou, it has been the number 56, Layla Denniston, laying out left, right and centre. Let's have a look at some of her highlights for this match.
Massive layout block. Another massive layout block. And a third. Not quite able to get the disc on that attempt, but impressive nonetheless.
It has to be said that when we flash up Layla Denniston's stats card, because of course that block on the second of the highlight reel there was indeed a block that stood after a retracted call from Valet. But Layla actually started playing Ultimate completely by accident. Said that Layla got the time wrong for the university football trial, and there was a Frisbee taster session. The Frisbee taster session happening at the same time that she thought was supposed to be the football trial, but has had a storied career playing for a number of different club sides.
Yeah, of course. Deep Space, Iceni, Reading, and I'm not familiar with Punt.
Oh, I am. That was a women's outfit that I think replaced Dirty Olive, if I remember rightly. Sort of a Cambridge and Oxford-based women's club. Big shout out to them. They had a really unmissable kit that was a colour, like a lurid, like day glow yellow. Is that a thing?
Gross.
It kind of worked, to be honest. There are some curious style choices for some Ultimate teams, but the Civil Servant serving up some greatness here for Great Britain's defence. But of course, this is the opportunity for the French to get the disc back in their hands again. And come out on offense to try and keep the game alive. They have been capable previously, as we see another pick. Oh, folks.
This is the quarter-final of the European pick contest.
Who can pick it more? We're getting a good action of the gun show. All of these athletes, of course, in wonderful form. Not quite warm enough to be wearing tank tops though, so we just get the flex under the shirts. That one though, flex straight into the waiting arms of Molly Wedge. That's going to leave a mark in the morning. Quick snag for Jeffrey. Has Cauldron. Breaks the mark with the high release backhand. It's Gibson upfield. The sliding knee catch immediately pops up. Has a little flash at the one around. Jeffrey across to Wedge. Just opens up that space so well, and Hills ripping down the first break of the second half for Great Britain. Looked a little bit gas cut into that front cone, or maybe had a little moment of some quirks in the hips, but all fine. Of course, she'll have her usual cheering section. The Hills Family World Tour continues, stopping here in Limerick.
I think she landed a little awkwardly on this catch. We'll get another look at it here, but another excellent point for GB. France again just making slightly unfortunate mistakes, throwing straight to Wedge rather than to Cartran. Wedge gets another stat.
Well, the positioning and spacing for this French women's side in this match, Lou, they've been playing, to say, some pretty tight games throughout the tournament, but I'm not digging the spacing. They're getting in each other's way a little bit. They're not making the most of the poach, and that's the second time they've had a throw go into traffic.
Well, they keep throwing to GB defenders, and it's not necessarily because GB are doing anything particularly smart. They're just playing tight match defense, and the throw goes behind into the defender. I mean, we've had a few heads-up blocks. Of course, Hannah Yorworth peeling off the back of the stack towards the end of that first half. But yeah, the French are making far too many unforced errors.
Well, can they turn it around? It's a 5-point deficit, so they've left themselves every work to do. Maëlle Barenton dancing around and eventually escapes Molly Wedge, who leaves the match up for a good couple of seconds and restarts the stall count from 0. But again, a throw into the laps of Great Britain. Young around to a trailing Heather Gibson. Reels it in and stays on her feet. Wonderful core strength, of course. Big flash off from the mark, opens up the inside window, and Wedge will call a timeout. It has to be said, Lou, that the French definitely wanted to, coming into this game, close off the inside channel, force Great Britain to break them around. But at the moment, it feels like GB are just getting every single channel they want, especially on defense. Sorry, when their defense gets the disc.
Yep, everything's going their way. It's a punishing performance. Just running away with this game a little bit, especially if they put this break in.
Well, a timeout being taken on the field. We will also get a moment of brief repose as the French get a moment to catch their breath against this juggernaut GB side. 9-4.
We are Hive Ultimate, a group of players and coaches from all over the world working together to progress the next generation of Ultimate strategy. We've helped top teams win world championships and new teams introduce the sport in a fun and inclusive way. Search for Hive Ultimate on YouTube to learn more about our cutting-edge strategies and to see analysis of world-class teams. To find out what Hive can do for your team, head over to our Patreon page where you can gain access to our exclusive drills and session plans and to join our worldwide community of coaches. Get ahead of the curve with Hive Ultimate.
Well, this is not the close game we expected. There's a discussion in the chat, Lou, about whether people are happy about the scoreline deficit or whether they're a bit dismayed. Some mixed feels, but certainly this is a masterclass in GB, showing us exactly what they're now capable of doing now that we are in the championship bracket. A bit of a misstep, a stumble for the French. Of course, it looked like we might get 3 French national teams coming in as we see a miscue from Wedge to Payne. Just an undercooked throw.
That is a fat turnout.
Fat turnout indeed. Of course, referring to the fact that in live play, the timeout is not always your friend. So an opportunity for the French to try and grind it back here. Barentin with the casual one-hand grab. Can the French women show us their execution and finesse? Oh, that is fantastic throwing form from the number 9, Barentin. Petitbon underneath it, perfect positioning and a cuddle to celebrate.
Well, that was just a hold for France. But that offense we saw after the turn was absolutely fantastic. Finally seemed to be firing on all cylinders.
But I didn't really much like the kind of double cutting into that same space. Of course, Bocanegra Gomez had to commit once she'd sort of teetered into that space, because Hayley Dalman, if you leave her alone to try and sandwich together.
She almost fumbled it.
So actually, that's a weird one. She went for, so just my brain is just calculating that replay, Lou. She sort of had the hands a little bit too far away from the body and caught the opposite trailing edge, but it worked out fine. That was bizarre. But
Catch is a catch.
Absolutely, a score is a score. That one ain't going to be coming back. But have they given themselves too much to do in this second half? A high release from Yorwith. GB's high release is, of course, coming out marvellously in this extremely calm conditions. That one, a lot of edge on it towards the left side. Kwok has a go, but can't make the second attempt because Bocanegra Gomez has slammed the door shut.
She went out for that one a bit early, I feel.
Well, there's plenty of cushion for Great Britain. They are really far ahead in this game. There's some sort of call. What kind of call? An injury. So I feel, Lou, like a couple of players had full-on stopped before Kwok called the injury. Well, after Kwok had called the injury, but before that throw went up. What's your take?
Yeah, there's definitely a few players stopping, but whether the throwers and receivers, well, thrower and mark and receiver and defender, had stopped, I don't think they had necessarily. Yeah, looks like the turnover will stand.
Well, so did not affect, again, the matchup between the two 11s, Annie Yorwith and Lyolle Petitbon. But Becky and Brew, a battle in front of us now. Coleman on the far side goes for the second catch again. So many of these catches take 2 efforts for both sides. Naden, far sideline, rips through to Hunter, who has her sights set firmly on the end zone until the turnaround to Brew. Yorwith on the far side. She'd be a little bit tight. Bit of dancing from Naden though. Juking in the centre of the end zone, and that one posted through the letterbox for Great Britain. 10-5, double the scoreline for GB over France. Well, I'll tell you what, they've been holding their cards close to their chest so far in this tournament, Lou.
Yeah, this is a dominant performance from GB. That was a hold. I'd like to see them clean up their offense, as we said at half-time. This lack of clean holds is a little bit worrying going into the rest of the championship bracket, assuming they close out this game.
Well, powered by Pasta. 4 assists, 1 goal for Rachel Needon. No blocks yet to her tally. It's unusual, but of course,
Yet.
I think she'll be coming out for GB more on offense than she is on defense.
Well, GB Airline's been getting plenty of opportunities to be able to play defense.
That is true, Lou. They still have yet to come out with a single clean hold. So that stat on their line still 0, which is the number of turnovers you want your O-line to have had at the end of the game, not the number of just, you know, first punch-in opportunities. But we want to see the French come out on D much more in this game, because at the moment they are looking outgunned by this GB side. Bertrand takes on the matchup of Wedge. Very, very flat mark. Foul call.
Yeah, Wedge was too close to that.
I've rarely seen Molly Wedge contest a foul call. Valet, far side. Slicing inside to Langlois. Mon Dieu. Taking the match up for Fonsail. Valet underneath. Foul call from the bid from Sarah Hills. Ended up laying out onto the ankles of Chloe Valet. Inside slinker, but it's going to be topped down, or tipped down even, by Molly Wedge. She just like slamming a bin lid shut. Well, that's what GB have been doing with the negative moments in this tournament, is putting them in the bin. And at the moment, they're putting the French to bed. They've all got them tucked in. But can they put a French tuck in those sheets? Fonsail, high release for Hills. Has Gibson underneath now in acres of room with a fade off from the mark. Babican with the layout, but cannot deny. Oldfield throws one up for Wedge, but just tips it, claws at the air. It's the first time we've seen Oldfield shooting to Wedge. It's worked so many times the other way around. Clearly Oldfield going, well, heck, why not?
That was a good option, just rush the throw. Wedge is a big target, but not that big.
Well, you say big. I don't think she's the biggest athlete in the world. She's only 5'6", so fairly average height for a European female. It's just a raw athlete. Originally hailing, of course, from Summerside, Canada, now residing in Bristol. But there's a great battle between Oldfield and Babican, and a short field opportunity here for Great Britain. Caudron to pick up. Almost cools off her hand. Has Wedge streaking into the deep space. It's going to be Gibson to Wedge, surely. Yes, you take that option every day of the week. And an action roll celebration from Ruth Caudron. I hope the poll can pick that up. That was a little bit of special something.
All right, let's take another look at this block. There's a slight overthrow on Babican, but the defender's there to make it, to secure the turnover. And here we see nice inside shot to Gibson, and then Wedge is just completely left on that side of the end zone. And yeah, average height for a European female, but I'm pretty sure her vertical jump and layout range, not sure what the technical sports science term for layout distance is above average.
Well, I think also it's just going for it. It's
sometimes, yeah.
It's not something you see too often in the women's division. It's people just been like, you know what, go for it, just do it, just.
Yeah.
What Sarah Hills would call, if you're successful, a slay out. and if you're not, a lame out.
Yeah, sometimes you just have to try real hard.
But the more you put yourself in that position to make a block, the more turns you are going to generate. Joe White in the chat said it's time for Rasta to start cooking. But right now, it's not a sweet treat from the boulangerie coming out of the oven for the French side. Becker looking a little bit lost for options and throws into the poach of Maddie Long, who immediately throws across the zone into the hands of Heather Gibson. What a denial.
Fantastic stuff from GB. Again, just being in the right place at the right time. Maddie Long reading the play. Intercepts the pass, and then with the bucket spike from Heather Gibson, who immediately just shot into the end zone for the easy score. GB running away with this.
Well, that was a really smart setup from Maddie Leong. High stall situation, just stood away a little bit, poached in the lane, saw the opportunity and pounced. Of course, Maddie, having started playing with Rice Frisbees, the junior team, currently I think currently, yes, just still student, playing for Throne, King's College London. Karen Cork also playing for that university side back in the day. Big shout out to all the KCL Throne folks. Some of the most hideous jerseys I've ever seen they had in the late 2010s, early 2010s, sorry.
They've improved since then.
They absolutely have. They look much better now.
Maddie Long, a key component of that team that beat the university team I coach, UCL, in varsity this year.
Well, the GB circle all smiles. We'll stick with the action here, though. So see, Steph Patso, is there nothing that that man cannot do? Being our camera on the inside, giving the Eurodisc best perspective. The GB coaching outfit very coy coming into this game, Lou.
Yeah.
But Maddie Long credits her her playing career all to the school librarian who invited her and some of her friends to start playing for Rice Frisbees back in school. Of course, that a play on the children's cereal. Or actually, no, it's not just for children. I know adults who eat Rice Krispies. And Yusuf Ahmad in the chat going, long live Rice Frisbees in all caps. But some love in the chat indeed for the French women's side, saying, you know, they still have belief. Of course, quarterfinals action across this women's division. This game will decide who will play against Italy or Switzerland. I'm looking over to those matches. We'll bring you some score updates if my laptop will load, Lou. So currently 11-7, Germany over the Netherlands on the latest update. Czech Republic 8-5 over the Belgians, and Italy 11-5 over the defending silver medalists in this division, the Swiss women. The Italian women had very little preparation coming into the tournament and certainly have used those early round games to really find form. So this game on the same side of the bracket as the Italians and those Swiss silver medalists from 15 and 19. That being, of course, 2015 and 2019, even though us pundits always underestimate them, Lou. Valet. Inside shot sails, but eyes on the prize is Ali Mondiaux. Has Juliette Bertrand jinking in front, but cannot escape Kate Gibson. Chloe Valet offers the reset, and there is a throw into the poaching hands of Hannah Thompson.
Well, the French looked good up until that point, but GB's end zone defense suffocating.
but they cannot escape into the deep space. So a half-field opportunity. I kind of like a little bit more space for this French women's side. They haven't been able to grind too much away from the GB athletes in a more compressed space. Petit Bon looking around, waiting for someone to initiate. It's Montiot, Valet streaking to the far sideline. Collecting that matchup. Becquet now, a good switch, but opens up to Valet. It's going to be a one over the top. They're a rocket, and nobody can bring it down as that fades over the left shoulder of Nanu.
Once again, suffocating end zone defense from GB.
Caudron looking to bring it in with the full stretch to go. Of course, Great Britain 3 points away from confirming their place in semi-finals tomorrow. It's going to be a busy day, but that is an absolute snatch for Hannah Thompson. Behind her back, Jeffrey saying, I'm really super available. Can't you see me on this open side? But they choose to play on the far side. Break continuation paused by the mark of Chloe Valet. I like that much tighter. Stall count really starting to rise. Some kind of call elsewhere. Pick. It's been a while since we've had a pick, Lou.
No, I think it was a foul. I think Gibson accidentally trod on her defender's foot.
Oh, right. Awkward. Back in play. A leader for Gibson. Oh, that is an absolute knife. I feel like if Hannah Thompson had put her hand on that, it would have ripped all the fingers clean off. Also, no talking about the Pingo Jam shorts ever in the live chat, please. Right. It was a stylistic choice that was a stylistic error. And anyone who knows, well, you know. Right, Valet. Becquet completely poached off now. That's an age and experience for you, making herself more available, clearing everyone else through, saying, hello, I'm poached, use me. But that's going to be a use and abuse at the end zone, and nearly the layout goal. Heartbreak. Why not take the open pass right next to you, Lou?
France, they need to be taking several more passes. They're trying to jam it into the end zone each time, and GB always there to push it wide or get a block.
Centre pocket drop for Gabby Coleman. Remember that one, you don't see many. Le Bon, Nanu. Now gets a mark from Gibson. Becquet is available, but just eyes towards the end zone. Babiquian now. The youthful future of French women. Valet grinding, thinks about that around, but well covered by Gibson. Always on the balls of her feet. That one squeezed through to Valet, and a spike afterwards. You can see the frustration coursing through the body of Chloe Valet. That's just the hole, but 3 again on the bounce for Great Britain before that point.
GB's offense on that point was not it. Giving away the disc far too easily after playing such fantastic defense in the end zone. France keep the game going. GB still have to score 3 more. So not over quite yet, but still double the scoreline for GB.
Oh, well, Felix Chardley having a bit of fun with someone he must have coached back in the day there. A replay of Abby Coleman's drop. He shrugs at the desk behind us, saying, I didn't teach her to do that. It was a clap catch right in the red basket. Of course, Felix, alongside yourself, Lou, and Noah, all part of the Hive Ultimate crew. One of our wonderful sponsors for this tournament coverage.
Yeah, I'll let our promo do the rest of the talking about that.
Oh, Lou. Wide open opportunity, mate. I laid up that basket for you and just missed the rim by a country mile.
Subscribe to Hive Ultimate.
And like and subscribe to ULTI.TV. Of course, you can't join our live chat unless you are a subscriber. Bang that thumbs up button as well. We see you in the chat. Big old rocket to Van Krieken, but it escapes her clutch. Goes up with one hand, but maybe a little bit of confidence. Overconfidence.
No more clean holds for GB, it seems.
Have we had any? No, we haven't had any.
0.
No clean holds, just clean breaks. Well, they aren't going to get one now. Bocanegra Gomez. This to try and turn the tide for the French. Barentin. The haka throws up a beautiful lead. That might be required some fancy footwork. No, just on the front corner. What a beautiful shot from Mayer Barentin. But being forced into some tricky situations, just popping it up. And the clutch break for French women. Bocanegra Gomez picking up the score from the assist of Limbourlet. But that was quite the low percentage shot downfield from Mayer Barentin, Lou.
Threw a foul as well. She did call a foul as soon as this went up, but retracted it when she saw that it was a completed pass. But this is really what should be happening when GB give the disc up. They've gone unpunished so far this game, since the first point at least, but finally France getting a break on the board.
Well, Barentin, who threw up that wonderful backhand around through heavy contact. Been playing for 10 years, started at the tender age of 14, so that'll be some quick maths for you to figure out her age. Started playing because it's mixed and it's a very fair sport. Coming up through Les Marchots, Magic Disc d'Envers, Cisci sorry. Always want to say discus. Of course, they had the double mixed French championship title, which Barentin was a key part of. But they're going to have to find some keys to try and unlock the fortress door. Because at this point, Lou, it feels like GB have all but pulled up the drawbridge to semi-finals.
Well, there's still five points to go for France, but if GB keep turning over and France keep punching it in, we could have a game on our hands, Annie.
Absolutely. They haven't had a single clean hold so far. Wedge and Naden, though, surely going to connect beautifully. And there we go. At long last in this game, finally, GB's offense don't turn over because they pulled across a couple of players, I think, Lou.
At long last, indeed. They will be disappointed with their offensive performance this game, but finally getting one on the board there. Nicely done, working it down that far side. And they do call a timeout to just settle themselves into these last few points, I guess.
Well, a very rapid power line indeed. Wedge has played defence pretty much throughout this game, appearing on the O-line for Great Britain. Shooting that one beautifully up the far sideline to Naden, originally from Glossop. Now, of course, over in Didcot. Those two, of course, both playing with Reading mixed this season. Nearly a picture-perfect performance for Wedge, bar that one turnover. But both are also World Games athletes. But of course, lots of experience on both sides. I think probably it's fair to say that Mondiaux hasn't had the best day at the office in this game, Lou.
No, I mean, it's been a slightly disappointing tournament for the French women's side. They had such a bad day yesterday, losing 2 games that they were surely going in hoping to win. And at the start of this game, talking to the coaches, they said that their mentality was bang on coming into this game. They'd put those previous losses behind them. They were well up for this. They were feeling strong. No major injuries on the team. Obviously a few niggles, as both teams have. It's a long tournament, but they're feeling strong, feeling mentally strong. But GB are just too good for them.
Well, they're really putting so much pressure on the resets. The French are not able to reset the stall count, change the angle of attack with the swiftness that they would like to. Certainly when I asked the captain, Mondiaux, what she would like to control in this game on offense, it was being able just to consistently swing the disc when they needed to. Nanu waiting, but I don't think she looked for her at really any point. But I like the attack from Petitbon. That looked almost immediately at the same instant. So a bit of extra assistance from Gibson just affirms what the two players seem to know already. Klima giving up possession to Petitbon. As the rain starts to fall a little bit, a travel called. That looked okay to me, Lou.
Yeah, not sure what the players saw, but France seemed to be happy with it.
Well, a close fought thing, but they will play on, will the French women. Becquet with the grind in front, but Nanu now just looking for different options. Oh, but that's a nice face mark exploitation, and Elise Becquet, the legend, puts that one on her back. And a hold for the French women, but this is going to be quite the historic comeback if, and I mean if, the French can do anything in the next point, because I think if they concede another, it's bye-bye hopes of semi-finals. It's still, I mean, they're currently very far in the distance. The light is still there, Lou, but it's flickering. This Irish wind starting to nearly snuff it out.
Well, you have to score to win. GB's still 2 points away. And that was a clean hold from the French. It was about as close to not being a clean hold as you could ever see, but they muscle through and
they clench victory from the jaws of defeat there. The veteran connection.
That shot brought to you by Steph Pazzo.
A bit of congratulation from Nicholas Ho operating the sideline camera in front of us. Perfect, Pazzo. Of course, just hovering in the side of your shot there as you see Elise Becquet. Currently just the two stats, of course, coming out on defense more often than not for this French women's side. If there is a comeback, I'm sure Elise Becquet would probably stay on the field for quite some time. Hyde to Yorwith. Babiquian taking on the target this time. Flirts with that inside lefty break, but chooses the easy reset to Hyde. That one, a slicer through to Naden. The French women not able to shut down these inside breaks for the Brits. Intense pressure from Lambolet, but opens up the big backhand to Thompson, but cannot get there with the legs.
Way too much pace, way too much angle on that throw from Wedge. Naden had separation going deep, but the throw needed to be better. And once again, GB turnover on offense.
Well, playing on the D line for so long will perhaps give you some curious ideas. But another turnover for Great Britain and another opportunity for the French to break. Can they hang on in there and convert this? Hannah Brew, big old poach in the lane. Elise Becquet, far side, once again, just completely acres of room. Finds a space now, though. Good attack with the disc into the rising wind conditions now. Bertrand looking for options. Has Bocanegra Gomez almost softly there. Can they get the secondary action to Elise Becquet? No. Good adjustment from the mark of Lucy Hyde. Collet, high release. Oh, that is heartbreak for the French women. A little bit of a misstep. Sharp intakes of breath all over. An injury call. I think that's a good idea. Go and just make sure you're okay.
Yes.
But a wonky step.
Of course, if you do call injury because of contact with a teammate or with the ground, then you are obliged to take the substitution. Contact with an opposing player, you can choose to take a timeout instead and stay on the field.
Well, Becky, a talismanic presence on defense. Mondiaux trying to get free. A race to the deep space, and it's going to be pop-macked on. Oh my goodness gracious me! Amon Babica off of the pop from Molly Wedge almost helps her opposition player, and it's capitalised upon by Limerick in the end zone.
Oh my goodness. The French are still in this game, Hannah. It was an overthrow from Molly Wedge and then a tip from Molly Wedge, giving Babican the slightest opportunity to make the play, and she doesn't hesitate. Gets horizontal.
Well,
full extension. Incredible play. Fingers underneath it.
that is gorgeous. That is absolutely gorgeous. That's the future right there. It's so bright, mate. We've got to wear shades.
Joy to watch.
I don't even know if it's shades. You know, they give you those little like weird
Welding masks.
I was going for a different approach. If you ever go get laser therapy, they put permanently reduce hair anywhere in your body. They give you these like weird, like almost like goggle things, like swimming goggles.
Oh yeah.
I feel like I need a
Yeah,
pair
yeah.
of those every time I watch Amon Babican play Ultimate. I don't think we need to go anywhere right now. This game is spicing up.
Yeah, GB just unable to convert cleanly. One clean hold all game long. And the French have really woken up.
But is it going to be too late, Lou?
Well, as I said, GB still need to score 2 more. And if they can't do it without turning over, and the French punish them every time,
So coming out of the huddles, allowing the top athletes of either side a bit of rest and recuperation. Elise Becquet is back on the field, folks. She is absolutely fine and ready to continue doing damage. Certainly someone you want. A rapid athlete with lots of experience on your D-line, because now the French really need to punch in every single look that the GB team give them. Hyde and Yorworth initiating from the far sideline. Wedge throws an easy one for Oldfield. Bocanegra Gomez trying to pin the force on the far sideline. Pit called. We'll reel that one back.
I think Wedge and Naden were moving a bit too close to each other downfield on that play.
Well, everyone in the live chat wanting this one to wrap up so they can go to their own training sessions.
Tough.
I mean, switch to a mobile device, go to training, as long as you're not driving at the same time. Get the bus, get a taxi, and watch this one at the beginning of your training as a smackdown on the far sideline. Lambourlet is here to play, denying Wedge. But can they do anything with it? They've turned the GB offense so often. Rigolier. Dish across to Petitbon. Rigolier up line. Hunter has an attempt at the flying bid, but that one is going to be undershot for Beckett. Cannot get to it, and it's back in the hands of GB. Brew to Wedge. Thinks about the inside. Takes the easy under instead to Yorworth. Dish over the top, so casual, but Avril Hunter makes sure that one reaches, watches it all the way into the pause. GB really being pushed in the late stages. Nads fakes off Wedge. Just looking for a conservative option and punches the air with the fist, celebrating that score through to Lucy Hyde. The Smog connection brings us to our first match point for Great Britain, coming out on defence.
Well, just as we thought France were getting back into this game, GB respond. Bit of an underthrow on France's offensive possession, and GB punched it in on the second time of asking. Here is that throw.
Such a shame. Although it has to be said, talk about quarterfinals back in 2019, Lou. Of course, that historic match was all about the Italians coming back against the Germans, who were pipped to win the division back in Jure. And a couple of players put the game on their back and absolutely stole the day. Watching a bit of the Netherlands warm up, actually, a bit of interesting visualization for you, and I kind of love this. The Netherlands women had one of their players reciting the story of that match, the quarter-final where the Germans went out against the Italians. Of course, Rolfi and Chesky so pivotal in that one, but not the case today. Germany currently 13-9, sorry. So a very similar scoreline to this match in front of us, but the hold to start it all. Can GB get another break? Mondiaux around the backspace finds Nanu. Babiquian underneath, of course. Oh, there's a drop. That's going to be painful to watch back. Gibson picks up, finds Jeffrey. The former Sublime athlete throws an easy high release backhand to Caudron. Caudron saying she wants to throw the break around, does so to Van Sale. Van Sale, again, these high release backhands over the shoulder of the mark, but it's going to be Gibson in the end zone with the goal for Great Britain, and they are going to semi-finals. An easy one in the end. A break of score to add to their tally. And there will only be one French team with a medal hope in this European Championship, Lou.
Yeah, French medal hopes lie solely in the mixed division now, as a fantastic performance from GB. Dominant all game long. The story really of this game is GB's defense, though. Their offense not firing as cleanly as they would like, but on defense they were unstoppable. Lots of unforced errors from the French side, but are they really unforced if they happen so much? The pressure from GB's defense, suffocating at times, and add to that some outstanding defensive plays.
Well, you can see the joy from the GB women's side, finishing that one off in style. Dalman with that final assist. Commiserations to the French women. I think they just had the pressure get to them that first half. 4-8. The breaks around the mark for Great Britain. They just seemed to throw whatever they wanted in this match, Lou. A couple of risky biscuits, a couple of errant ones.
But I really liked these high release backhands, particularly from Ruth Caudron there on that final point. Just slicing the French defense apart.
So what players stood out for you who were on fire for the French, Lou?
Well, Babican, obviously, until that final drop that unfortunately we have to mention.
So you can see our game clock still running there, Lou. This one nearly going all the way to the 100-minute time slot. Of course, the French have been in this position before. They played the format very well back in 2019. Had no well, a little bit of success in the pool stages, and then clawed their way back through. So they're going to have to be playing for 5th. Of course, in the championship bracket, knocked out in this first round. See if we can bring you some updates from the other fields here in this game slot. We do indeed have the Italians sailing through, so it will be a Great Britain-Italian semi-final on this side of the bracket. And on the other side, I think we still have the games ongoing. 13-9, still the score as far as the online results are concerned. And the Czech Republic, 13-8 over the Belgians. So it looks like on the other side, Lou, Germany, Czech Republic.
That's a spicy matchup.
It certainly is.
Germans, of course, favourites to win the whole thing here at the women's division, but the Czechs, when they play well, they are unstoppable.
Well, this is a real interesting one on the clean hold in this game, Lou. The stats.
Yeah, we don't have the stats for the final 2 points, which is why the scoreline is wrong there, but still, the number of clean holds is correct for GB. Do not adjust your streaming devices. That does say 1 out of the 13 goals that were scored.
It's the I believe sometimes our stats takers who are working hard under the conditions here in Limerick, they sometimes they disconnect from the internet here. They have to reconnect so that it pushes through. But of course, most of the stats from this game are here. So that one that took us through, but we will try and get a sideline interview for you. The GB circle staying out there, but of course this is the last game slot of today. I'm sure many people have raced off to their various training sessions, but it's been a pleasure to have you with us active in the live chat. GB and Italy are now the only nations, though, as Benji Rees points out, who can medal in every division. Of course, there have been no missteps for the mixed side so far, but missteps all over the board for both teams. Oh, another look at this one.
Catch of the game for sure.
Catch the tournament, perhaps.
Perhaps.
Well, GB have declined to give any interview whatsoever, not massively surprising. So that will wrap us up for the action here in quarterfinals. Semi-berths are being solidified. So tomorrow we start a rhythm of mixed, open and then women's, because that is of course the order of the finals. So semi-finals will start mixed first thing in the morning, and those will be France, GB, Italy, Ireland. For the open, who do we got, Lou?
Well, we saw previously on the stream Belgium beat Spain to secure their semi-final spot against Germany, and in the other semi-final we will have Italy versus Great Britain.
So this side of the bracket here, women's division, Great Britain versus Italy, and it looks to be at the moment Germany versus the Czech Republic, but we will wrap here for today, folks. It's going to be quite the Friday at this tournament, of course, shortening up the format to avoid the helter-skelter weather. But thank you so much for sticking with us here on Pitch 15, the doggos and humans alike, enjoying this European Championship final, but we will EU on the other side.
But I still want you, I do. Baby, can't you see what you do to me? I just can't resist you. You got me drunk in love, I can't sleep. I need to sober up from this dream. But I can't deny, I can't deny you. I can't deny, I can't deny you. Na 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 na. Tomorrow, could you be the one to kill my sorrows? Kill my sorrows. Maybe one night you can play the hero, even if I know it's only for show. Can't you see what you do to me? I just can't resist you. You got me drunk in love, I can't sleep. I need to sober up from this dream. But I can't deny, I can't deny you. I can't deny, I can't deny you. Na 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 drunk in love, I can't sleep. I need to sober up from this dream. But I can't deny, I can't deny you. I can't deny, I can't deny you.
I need new flavor, reason to throw my game, not really why I came. Oh, do me a favor, pour me another glass, pour hearts that never last. Oh, take me, I'm a wild one, getting bored out looking for attention. I'm not looking to meet new friends. No, I've been looking for a lover instead, for someone I appreciate, and everything across my way. I love that I don't know your name. Oh no, I never meant to misbehave. Something about you makes me crave. You really are a different taste. I love that I don't know your name. Sunrise is dancing up on the rooftop bar. Don't really need to talk. I'm reading the silence. I think it's pretty clear. I'm always so sincere. Oh, take me. I'm a wild one, getting bored out looking for attention. I'm not looking to meet new friends. No, I've been looking for a lover instead, for someone I appreciate, and everything across my way. I love that I don't know your name. Oh no, I never meant to misbehave. Something about you makes me crave. You really are a different taste. I love that I don't know your name. Oh, save me. I'm a good one, getting worn out, need a fixation. I'm so ready for new mistakes. No, I've been looking for a lover instead, for someone I appreciate, and everything across my way. I love that I don't know your name. Oh no, I never meant to misbehave. Something about you makes me crave. You really are a different taste. I love that I don't know your name.
Thanks. Merci beaucoup.
Yeah, Ultimate.
ULTI.TV.